Good evening, everybody. Hope you guys are doing good. And yesterday, some things happened. Some things that are a little more superfluous, some things that are a little more for fun than anything serious. Obviously, there were about a million things that could have happened last night that meant more to the Seahawks than what took place on the NFL Honors stage. But let's talk about it anyway. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. Let's go through what happened last night when the NFL handed out their awards. So, as we all know, there were many Seahawks who were involved in the NFL honors this year. There were many who were nominated, there were many who were finalists in various categories, and obviously, there were a fair number of Seahawks fans who were going into the ceremony yesterday hoping for good results, and we got some. We definitely got some. We got some cool things going on here. There is definitely going to be some element of disappointment with the way that some of the ballots ended up coming out. But let's walk through it here, talk it through, and basically go ahead and put this to bed. Because again, this is not really the stuff that matters. This is stuff talking about what has happened. This is about honoring people based off subjective voting criteria of, I think it's 50 people. So, at the end of the day, it's not like this is anything that's going to affect our team going forward. With that being said, let's start with the Offensive Rookie of the Year voting. This was a category that a lot of people, myself included, kind of expected to have a Seahawk win. And that would have been pretty cool because Offensive Rookie of the Year is not an area the Seahawks have had much success in ever. And it seemed like we finally had one. And I'll say this. Ken Walker, in a normal year, would have won. In any other year than this one, he would have won. Nobody got more first place votes for Offensive Rookie of the Year than Ken Walker. He got 19. Garrett Wilson got 18. However, because this was the first year where they instituted a points system, where every voter would pick a first place, second place, and third place, Garrett Wilson got so many second place votes, he ended up winning by a pretty significant margin. So basically, Ken Walker got the most first place votes, but still lost because of people who thought that he wasn't top two, and a couple people who thought he wasn't even top three. Which, to me, like, I understand the Garrett Wilson argument a little bit, I do, but to me, not having Ken Walker in your top three is like, you must just not watch football. Like, okay, Garrett Wilson, he's playing with a bad quarterback in New York. He's got maybe the worst quarterback situation in all the NFL. I get it. I understand that angle. I do. But at the same time, results matter. Garrett Wilson was the best player on one of the worst offenses in the league. Ken Walker was one of the best players, probably like the second or third best player on a top 10 offense. He was one of the best players on a team that made the playoffs. Garrett Wilson was one of the best players on a team that completely fell apart at the end of the year and didn't make the playoffs. So I don't see how that stuff doesn't matter. But even if you like Garrett Wilson over Ken Walker, which I can understand, there are people who put Brock Purdy, Chris Olave, and I think even guys like Kenny Pickett above Ken Walker. At a certain point, you should be able to do something so bad that it just costs you your ballot. You shouldn't get a ballot anymore. And I feel like if you actually think that Ken Walker shouldn't be on the Rookie of the Year ballot, and you're putting guys like Chris Olave and Kenny Pickett above him, just, give your ballot to somebody who actually watches football. But anyway, Ken Walker comes in second. Still a great year, still an awesome performance. And he did get the most first place votes, and any other year that would have been enough to win. Okay, so then we move on to Defensive Rookie of the Year, and what everybody kind of thought might happen happened. Yeah, Sauce Gardner won by a lot. He got 46 of 50 first place votes. Hutchinson was distantly in second, and Woolen was a distant third. So Tariq Woolen comes in third. Again, I'm going to say what I've been saying for a while now. I completely understand him finishing behind Hutchinson. I don't get the Sauce Gardner thing. The only angle I get it on the Sauce Gardner thing is the idea of, Well, the results are all that matters. And Sauce Gardner's results are good. He just gets those results by breaking every single rule in the NFL rulebook for a defensive back, and the league just randomly decides they're going to be okay with that. So, I don't know. Hard for me to really respect that. But anyway, Woolen does finish third. He had a great year regardless. And I think we all kind of knew this was probably going to be the case. So, 2 New York Jets win Rookie of the Year. And doesn't that just ring appropriate, I guess, with the way things are in the league sometimes. Coach of the Year, real quick here. We weren't up for this. We already knew Pete Carroll did not finish in the top 5, but he did finish in the top 10. He actually got 6 points, including 1 second place vote and 3 third place votes. So Pete Carroll was one of the top 10 best coaches in the league this year, according to the AP voters. And, I mean, I don't know if I agree with all the names in front of him, but I certainly agree with some. I mean, DeBoll winning to me was kind of a no-brainer. I got no beef with that. Shanahan had an amazing year. Peterson had a great year. I got no beef with a lot of the guys who finished ahead of Pete. I still think Pete should have been top 5, but probably not top 4. So they're off by a few spots in my book, but whatever. Okay, so now we get to the more fun stuff. We get to the stuff the Seahawks actually won in. Comeback Player of the Year. Geno Smith wins in a bit of a runaway. Easy first place over Christian McCaffrey, and then a handful of other guys got a couple votes here and there. Guys like Barkley, Brandon Graham, Jared Goff. So, hey, Geno had a great year. He deserves it. He got a plurality, or a majority of the first place votes. He got more than double the second place finisher in first place votes. And, I mean, I don't think there was much question about this one. Geno Smith went from a guy who was... I mean, he could have been out of the league a couple years ago and nobody would have even noticed because he was so irrelevant of a player at that point. And now he's making the Pro Bowl, making the playoffs, throwing 30 touchdowns, in line to get a fat contract this offseason. So, kind of a no-brainer to me. Honestly, to me, the other guys on the list, like, a lot of them are coming back from stuff like injury, and a lot of them are coming back from, like, general just irrelevance. That didn't necessarily have to do with them never being a good player. So Geno's in a unique situation. Like, he was one of the guys who was never good before this year, and suddenly he was great. So that's it. It's certainly a unique situation for a comeback player of the year, but he deserves it. Also in the Geno Smith corner, we had one vote. One vote on the ballot went to Geno Smith for MVP. He got 1 5th place vote. Don't know who it was from, but he got 1 5th place vote. Now, this means that he was tied with guys like A.J. Brown, Tyreek Hill, Justin Fields, Justin Herbert, Derrick Henry, Tua, and Denny Kellington. So, not exactly the greatest accomplishment, but regardless, there are some obvious tweaks this year because now you have a 5-man MVP ballot for each voter. Bottom line is this. Geno Smith is the first quarterback in Seahawks history to get an MVP vote. Hasselbeck never got one. Dave Craig never got one. Jim Zorn never got one. Russell Wilson never got one. Geno Smith is now the first Seahawks quarterback ever to get an MVP vote. Obviously, in the old system, he wouldn't have gotten one because he got the 5th place vote. They used to not do 5th place votes. However, I think it does represent how meaningful and how good and how cool it was to see Geno do what he did this year. So, congrats. So, Geno Smith, first Seahawk to get an MVP vote, by the way, since I believe Bobby Wagner in 2014. Yeah, Bobby Wagner got, I think, a Tony Dungy's MVP vote in 2014. So, since then, hasn't been a single Seahawk to get an MVP vote, and now Geno Smith is carrying the torch. So, pretty cool. We also won Fan of the Year. Larry, I don't know his last name, but we won Fan of the Year. So, good for Larry. I guess that's what people just call him. They call him Larry. I was under the impression last night, some people were saying that Lockett won Walter Payton Man of the Year. He did not. That went to Dak Prescott. And that's really all there is to say. So, the Seahawks did okay. Comeback Player of the Year. A Seahawks player got an MVP vote, and Pete Carroll got some Coach of the Year votes, just a couple, but he was on the ballot. He was in part of the conversation. And Ken Walker, I mean, he's forever going to be able to do what Charles Barkley does. Because Charles Barkley, once upon a time, famously, got the most first place votes for MVP one year, but because of the point system, Magic Johnson won it. So now he's in the club with Charles Barkley, and Barkley's still mad about it. So Walker, he may continue to be mad about it for a little while. But not bad. Not bad results. Congratulations to Geno. Congratulations to Carol. Congratulations to Larry. And there are your results. So still no Rookies of the Year over here in Seattle. Been a while since we've had one, I guess. But hey, I will take our future. I will take where our future is headed. The fact that we had 2 finalists tells you what you need to know about our future as a team. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Let me know what you guys think about all this. I know a lot of people are going to be unhappy with the Rookie of the Year results. And, I mean, I disagree with them. I don't agree with them. I don't totally get it, but there it is. All right, see you guys tonight on Twitch.